The Forgotten World. The alien ship broke through the darkness of space and entered Earth's orbit. Its hull shimmered like silver glass, glowing against the pale light of the forgotten planet. For 500,000 years, Earth had been abandoned. The Zyrith believed it to be nothing more than dust, a dead sphere, a memory that time had erased. Commander Serac stood tall on the viewing deck. His cold eyes scanned the ruined surface below. "So this is Earth," he whispered. His soldiers laughed with sharp voices, mocking. "The humans are long gone. Only ruins remain." But Earth did not look silent. The clouds swirled heavy and black. Lightning cracked across broken lands, and strange energy spikes danced across their scanners. There was movement, faint but clear. The first landing team descended. Their boots hit cracked concrete. The once great city below them was in ruins. Towers that once touched the sky now lay broken, their steel frames sticking out like the bones of giants. "This planet is finished," one alien muttered, kicking rubble aside. "No life, no future, just dust." But then he froze. His scanner beeped. A strange signal pulsed from below the ground, slow and steady like a heartbeat. The ruins were not empty. They were watching. The squad moved through empty streets. The silence pressed on their ears. No birds sang. No wind moved. The only sound was the crunch of their armored boots. Carvings marked the walls. Each one showed the same face, a human face, eyes sharp, jaw firm, carved into stone and metal as if the world itself wanted to remember. Commander Serac narrowed his eyes. Why leave these marks everywhere? What message did they hide? Before anyone could answer, a low hum rolled through the ruins. The ground trembled. Dust shook loose from shattered towers. The air itself seemed to pulse. The aliens raised their weapons, scanning, waiting. From the shadows, shapes began to move. Statues. Cracked rubble shifted and metal warriors stepped forward. They looked like humans, tall and strong, but their eyes glowed with a cold blue light. "They are not alive," one alien whispered, his voice trembling. "They are machines." But the machines did not speak. They only stared, waiting. Their silence was more terrifying than any war cry. The commander raised his weapon, but before he could fire, one of the machines moved. Its speed was too fast, too sharp. In a flash, it stood in front of them, its shadow stretching long across the cracked street. The aliens fired. Plasma lit the ruins with green light. Sparks exploded from the machine, but it did not fall. It kept moving, steady, precise, and then the others followed. Dozens stepped from the ruins, crawling from tunnels, rising from broken ground. The Forgotten World was not empty. It was filled with silent guardians. The air shook with fire. Plasma bolts screamed across the city. Machines struck back with blades of light. The ruins turned into a battlefield. One alien screamed as a glowing spear cut through his armor. Another fired wildly, only to be dragged into the shadows by cold metal hands. Commander Serac's voice thundered, "Hold your ground. This is only defense tech. Push forward." But even as he shouted, he knew the truth. This was not random. The machines were not just protecting ruins. They were fighting like humans. Their moves were strategic, precise, ruthless. They fought like soldiers who had trained for centuries, and then it happened. A voice broke the air, carried through the machines. It was not alien, it was not mechanical, it was human. "You should not have come here," the voice said, calm and cold. The aliens froze, their hearts pounded, their eyes darted through the shadows. Who spoke that? One soldier cried, his voice shaking, but no human stood before them. Only the machines glowing blue, each one staring, waiting. The commander felt his throat go dry. He whispered the thought that clawed into his mind. They are not gone. Humanity is not gone. The machines closed in, their shadows covering the ruins. The Forgotten World was not empty. It was a warning, and the aliens realized, too late, that Earth had been waiting for their return. Ghosts of humanity, the city, lay in ruins, but it did not feel empty. The air was heavy, alive with whispers carried through broken steel and cracked stone. The Zyrith soldiers moved carefully now, their weapons raised, their nerves shaking. They had come to study Earth, but it felt more like Earth was studying them. Commander Serac walked at the front, his eyes scanning every shadow. The machines, had vanished as suddenly as they had appeared, leaving behind only silence. Yet the silence was worse than the battle. It felt like a trap, like the ruins themselves were waiting for something. Scanners still read movement, one officer whispered, his hands trembling over the glowing device. But it's strange. The signals come and go like they are hiding from us. Sarak's jaw tightened. Machines don't hide. They strike. This is different. They pressed deeper into the city. The towers leaned over them like broken giants. Every window seemed like an eye, watching. The soldiers tried not to look, but the carvings on the walls pulled their gaze again and again. Faces, always human faces. Some smiling, some angry, some sorrowful. But all of them felt alive, as if carved yesterday, not 500,000 years ago. Why preserve so much of themselves? A soldier muttered. Were they afraid of being forgotten? Another laughed nervously. Forgotten? Look around. How can you forget them when their faces are everywhere? Then something strange happened. As they walked, the carvings seemed to change. At first, Sarak thought it was only shadows. But no, when he turned his head, the stone eyes had shifted. They were staring at him, directly into him, his breath caught in his throat. He barked at his troops. Keep moving, don't look at the walls, but it was too late. One soldier froze, his weapon slipping from his claws. He was staring at a carving of a human woman. Her eyes glowed faintly, only for him. She spoke, the soldier whispered, his voice cracking. She said my name. The others rushed to him, shaking his shoulders, but he would not move. His eyes were locked on the stone face, tears running down his scaled cheeks. Then, without warning, he screamed, falling to the ground. His body convulsed as if an unseen force was inside him. Sarak pulled him back, but the soldier's eyes rolled white. His lips moved and words spilled out. But they were not alien words. They were human. You should not have returned, the soldier said in a voice that was not his own. The squad stepped back in horror. The voice that came from him was calm, powerful, old. It was as if humanity itself was speaking through him. Moments later, the soldier went still. His body collapsed like an empty shell. His chest no longer moved. The others stood frozen, shock cutting through them like a blade. What was that? One soldier stammered. Sarak's voice was hard but quiet. Ghosts of humanity. No one dared laugh. No one dared speak again. The ruins had stolen their voices. They pressed on, deeper into the heart of the city. Every step was heavier than the last. Then they saw it. An open plaza where a massive statue of a human stood, taller than any tower. The statue's eyes glowed faintly with blue light. In its hand it carried a sword, sharp and endless. At the base of the statue, fires flickered to life, though no one had lit them. The flames burned without smoke, casting long shadows that twisted and danced. And within those shadows, shapes moved. Figures walked between the flames, faint and transparent. They looked human, but their bodies shimmered like mist. Some were soldiers, some were children, some carried tools, all silent. The aliens froze, their weapons shaking in their hands. They are not real, one whispered. They cannot be real. But the figures kept moving, their eyes glowing with a faint white light. They passed through rubble, through walls, through fire, as if nothing could stop them. One child stopped in front of Sarak, looking up with empty, glowing eyes. Her lips moved, whispering words that he could not understand. Yet somehow he felt the meaning inside his mind. We remember. Sarak stumbled back. His heart raced, his soldiers pulled him away, but the child only smiled before fading into smoke. The commander gritted his teeth. He had led campaigns across 100 worlds, fought enemies stronger than him, but nothing had ever filled him with fear like this forgotten world. Ghosts, machines, whispers. They all pointed to one truth. Humanity had left something behind, something greater than ruins, something alive. Sarak looked up at the glowing statue. His voice broke as he whispered, "They are not gone. They are everywhere." And in the distance, across the broken city, a sound rose again. The same voice from before carried on the wind. You should not have come back." The words echoed across the forgotten world, filling every ruined tower, every shattered street. The aliens knew then. They had made a mistake that could not be undone. The silent guardians. The plaza burned with silent flames. The ghostly figures had vanished, but the aliens still felt their presence pressing down on them, like unseen eyes watching from every shadow. Commander Serac kept his troops close. His voice was firm, but his heart beat fast. "We move to the central core of the city, we find answers." The soldiers obeyed, though fear weighed heavy on their steps. They moved through streets littered with broken steel and collapsed towers. The silence was worse than gunfire. Every corner felt alive, every echo felt like footsteps behind them. Their scanners beeped again. This time the signals were not faint, they were strong, moving, circling, closing in. "They're around us," one soldier whispered, clutching his rifle. "Every direction." Then the ground shook, stone cracked, and from beneath the ruins metal rose. Huge machines crawled out of the earth, their bodies armored, their eyes glowing the same cold blue. At first there were 3, then 10, then 20. Until the streets were filled with them, they stood in perfect formation, silent, waiting. "Drones," Serac muttered, but his voice cracked. These were not like the broken machines they had seen before. These were different, stronger. Their designs were too advanced, sharper than anything the Zyrith had faced. One machine stepped forward. It was taller than the rest, carrying a massive blade that shimmered with energy. Its eyes locked on Serac, and for a moment he felt the weight of a human stare behind that metal mask. The air grew tense. Soldiers raised weapons, hands shaking. The machine lifted its blade and slammed it into the ground. The sound thundered through the city, and the others moved in unison, forming a wall of metal. "Fire!" Serac shouted. Plasma bolts lit the ruins green, explosions ripped across stone and steel. Sparks flew as machines staggered under the blasts, but none fell, none screamed, none feared. Then the drones returned fire. Beams of blue light cut through. "Armor!" Soldiers screamed as their bodies burned. The air filled with smoke and metal. The battle raged, but it was not random. The machines fought with precision. Their movements were tactical. They flanked, they trapped, they struck as if guided by the minds of soldiers long dead. One alien officer shouted, "They fight like humans." Serac saw it too. Every strike, every counter, every move felt familiar, as if he were facing not machines but warriors. Warriors who had been trained for war beyond measure. A soldier beside him fell, cut by a glowing spear. Serac dragged him back, blood hissing on the broken ground. His eyes darted around the battlefield, searching for weakness, but there was none. The machines did not stop. They did not hesitate. They did not die. "Fall back," Serac roared. But when his soldiers turned, the machines had already sealed the exits. Streets that had been open before were now blocked with walls of steel. The Guardians had trapped them inside the city. Panic spread. Soldiers fired wildly, plasma bolts bouncing off shields. The air was filled with smoke, screams, and the endless hum of the machines. And then over the chaos, the voice returned, carried through the machine's speakers, calm and steady. "You came to take from us, but Earth is not yours." The words froze the aliens in place. The voice was human, yet not. Too clear, too sharp, too strong to be just a recording. Serac's heart pounded. His people had ruled systems for centuries. They had crushed empires. They had enslaved worlds. But here, on this ruined planet, they were nothing more than prey. A machine leapt forward, its blade slicing through an officer's chest. Another crashed down with a heavy fist shattering the ground beneath a squad. The soldiers screamed, firing, retreating, dying. Serac stood his ground, rage burning in his eyes. "What are you?" He shouted into the ruins. "Machines? Ghosts? Or are the humans still here?" The voice answered, colder this time. "We are their memory, their will, their guardians. You were warned." And as the words echoed, the machines advanced again, slower now, step by step, pressing the aliens back toward the statue at the heart of the plaza. Serac realized the truth. This was not just a defense system. It was something more, something alive, something waiting. The silent guardians did not protect ruins. They protected the future, and the aliens had awakened them, The awakening. The streets of the ruined city burned with smoke and fire. Alien bodies lay scattered, glowing blue machines standing over them like silent executioners. Commander Serac pulled his remaining soldiers into a narrow passage. The machines did not chase. They only watched, as if guiding the survivors somewhere. "Why are they not finishing us?" one soldier whispered, his voice breaking. Serac narrowed. His eyes, his mind raced. "Because this is not war," he muttered. "This is a test." The passage led them into the lower levels of the city. Dark tunnels stretched beneath the ruins. The walls were smooth, untouched by time. The deeper they went, the stronger the energy grew. Their scanners screamed with power signals, impossible for a world dead 500,000 years. Finally, the tunnel opened into a vast underground chamber. The aliens froze, staring in disbelief. Row after row of stasis pods stood in silence, thousands of them, lined across the chamber like an army frozen in time. Inside each pod lay a human, their bodies still, their eyes closed, but their chests rising and falling with slow breaths. The soldiers stepped back, fear in their eyes. "Impossible," one gasped. "They should be dust. They should be gone." Serac walked forward, his claws trembling. He pressed his hand against the glass of one pod. The human inside looked young, strong. His eyes were closed, but there was something unnatural in the way his face looked, peaceful, yet aware. "They are not gone," Serac whispered. "They were never gone." The soldiers looked at him in horror. "Then what are the machines? What are the ghosts?" Serac turned, his voice heavy. "They are guardians keeping these humans safe, waiting for the day they wake." Before anyone could speak, the chamber shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. The pods began to glow, one by one. Blue light spread across the rows like fire rushing across dry grass. No, this can't be happening," one soldier panicked. "They are waking." The hum grew louder, filling the chamber. The air itself seemed to pulse with power. The aliens raised their weapons, but Serac shouted, "Don't fire. If they wanted us dead, we would already be dead." Then one pod cracked, steam hissed out. Glass fell away, and the human inside slowly opened his eyes. The chamber went silent. The machines above stopped moving. The aliens froze in terror. The human stepped out. His body was lean but strong. His eyes glowed faintly with a golden light. He looked around as if he had never been asleep. His gaze fell on the aliens, and he tilted his head, studying them like insects. One soldier raised his weapon, shaking. "Commander, what do we do?" Serac raised his arm, stopping him. His voice was barely a whisper. "We wait." The human finally spoke. His voice was calm, heavy, filled with something that made the aliens' bones ache. "You should not have come here," he said, the same words they had heard through the machines and ghosts. Serac swallowed hard. He tried to speak, but no words came. The human stepped closer. His glowing eyes locked on Serac. "You came seeking a dead world, but you found what you feared most." More pods cracked open, one after another. Humans stepped out, some old, some young, all with the same glowing eyes. They stood silently, their presence filling the chamber with unbearable weight. The aliens backed away, weapons shaking in their claws, but none dared fire. One of Serac's soldiers whispered in terror, "They are gods." The human leader looked around the chamber, then back at Serac. His expression did not change. His voice was firm, cold. "500,000 years we slept," he said. "500,000 years we waited. And now you return, bringing war to our world. You wanted ruins, but Earth has risen again." The soldiers trembled. Some dropped their weapons, their courage shattered. Serac forced himself to speak, his voice rough. What are you? Are you the last humans?" The leader's eyes narrowed. His words, cut like blades. "We are not the last. We are the beginning." The machines in the tunnels roared to life. The chamber shook as their footsteps echoed. The guardians bowed their heads to the awakened humans, and Serac understood. This was no forgotten species, no relic of the past. Humanity had not died. Humanity had prepared. Humanity had waited, and now humanity was awake. The reckoning. The underground chamber glowed with blue and gold light. Rows of stasis pods cracked open. releasing steam that rolled across the floor like mist. One by one, the humans stepped out. Their bodies were strong, their eyes faintly glowing as if they carried the fire of the stars within. The Xyrath soldiers backed away, fear twisting their faces. Their weapons trembled in their claws, but not one dared fire. Commander Serac stood frozen. His mind screamed to retreat, but his body would not move. The weight of the human's presence held him still like chains of fear. The first awakened human, the one who had spoken, looked at the aliens with cold calm. His voice carried across the chamber, low and powerful. You came to take, but this world is not yours. His words echoed like thunder. The machines around the chamber bowed their heads as if kneeling before him. The ghosts in the tunnels whispered in unison, repeating his voice. The soldiers gasped, their eyes wide. They were not facing a single man. They were facing an entire species, awake and alive again. Serac forced his throat to work. We believed you were gone, he stammered. Extinct. Forgotten. The human stepped closer, his eyes burned brighter. Forgotten? He asked, his tone sharp. We do not forget. We endure. Behind him, more humans gathered, their faces silent, unreadable, their glowing eyes fixed on the aliens as if judging their worth. Serac's soldiers panicked. One fired his weapon. A plasma bolt streaked through the air and struck the chest of one human. The chamber filled with smoke. But when the smoke cleared, the human still stood, the blast leaving nothing more than a faint scorch on his skin. The soldiers gasped. Some dropped their rifles in terror. The human did not flinch, did not bleed. His lips curled into the smallest hint of a smile. You cannot harm us, he said. Not anymore. The machines roared to life. Their glowing blades snapped forward. Aimed at the aliens, the soldiers screamed, raising weapons in panic. But the human leader raised his hand, and the machines froze. Their weapons lowered instantly, waiting in silence. They are not your killers, he said. They are your judges. Serac felt the chill run through his blood. Judges? He whispered. The human nodded slowly. His voice shook the chamber. For 500,000 years we slept, but we were not gone. We prepared. We left behind guardians and memories, not to protect ruins, but to test those who would come, and you have failed. The words struck like blades. Serac's soldiers shook their heads in panic. No, we came only to study, one cried. We did not know. The human's eyes narrowed. You came with weapons. You came with arrogance. You came to take from a world you believed was dead. The machines stepped forward, their glowing eyes, cold and endless. Serac clenched his fists. If we have failed, then what will you do to us? The human's face remained calm, but his words carried finality. We do not need to destroy you, your own fear will do that. But understand this, Earth is not yours, Earth is never yours, and if you carry this memory back to your kind, they will know the truth. Humanity endures. The other humans behind him raised their heads. Their glowing eyes lit the chamber. Thousands of silent stares filled the aliens with dread. Serac's soldiers fell to their knees. Some begged, some prayed. Others dropped their weapons completely. The human leader looked down at them as though they were nothing more than children who had played with fire. His voice was soft now, almost pitying. You will leave this world. You will speak of what you saw, and you will remember why Earth must never be touched again. Serac felt his throat dry, but he managed to whisper. And if we return? The human's glowing eyes hardened. His answer came like a blade cutting through the silence. Then you will not return at all. The chamber shook as the machines roared again. The walls lit up with burning blue light. The sound of 1,000 voices whispered through the tunnels. We endure. We endure. We endure. The aliens stumbled back, their fear turning to despair. They had come for answers, but all they found was judgment. And as Serac looked upon the endless eyes of humanity's guardians, he realized the truth. The galaxy had feared humanity's fire when they were alive, but now Now they would fear humanity's memory even more. The reckoning had begun. The last warning. The Xyrith soldiers stumbled out of the underground chamber. Their armor was burned, their faces pale with terror. Behind them, the glowing humans stood, silent, watching. Their presence heavier than any army. Commander Serac forced his troops forward. His mind spun with fear. But retreat gave no comfort. Above ground, the ruined city stretched under a dark sky. Lightning split the clouds, and thunder rolled across the broken towers, Commander. An officer gasped, pointing upward. Our fleet, it's moving. Serac looked to the heavens. His heart froze. Above Earth, the Xyrith fleet, hundreds of warships, hung in orbit. But they were not alone anymore. The sky was filled with light. Red warnings flashed across his visor as massive energy signatures appeared. From the oceans, colossal shapes rose. The water exploded upward as if the seas themselves were breaking apart. Towers of steel and shadow pushed through the waves. Warships, vast and ancient, rising like giants long. Asleep. From beneath the mountains, the ground split open. Dust and fire shot into the air as more ships climbed into the sky. Their black hulls shimmered with strange energy fields. Their designs were unlike anything Serac had seen, brutal yet elegant. The soldiers gasped, their voices trembling. Those are human warships. The ships hovered above the earth, massive and endless. Their weapons glowed with golden fire. Their size dwarfed the Xyrith fleet. Some were so large they blocked out the stars, turning night into shadow. Serac felt the breath leave his lungs. This was not a defense grid, not simple machines. This was an armada, hidden and waiting for 500,000 years. Then the humans spoke again. Their voices carried not just in the ruins, but across every channel, every ship. The sound filled, the air like thunder. You came to steal from Earth, but Earth belongs to humanity. Leave now or be buried here forever. The Xyrith fleet tried to respond, their admirals shouting orders across comms. But their words drowned under the endless, human broadcast. This is your last warning. One of Serac's officers cried out, They will destroy us, we must leave. But another shook his head, his pride burning. No, we are the Xyrith. We cannot bow to a dead species. He raised his weapon, shouting, Fight them! Almost instantly the sky lit up. The first human warship moved. Its cannon glowed white-hot before unleashing a single shot. A beam of pure energy cut through the darkness, slicing one Xyrith cruiser in half like paper. The ship exploded into flames, its wreckage raining down into the sea. The Xyrith soldiers on the ground fell silent, their pride shattered in a heartbeat. Serac could not move. His people had built empires, enslaved worlds, crushed enemies. But this was different. This was power beyond measure. This was something ancient and terrible. The humans had not just survived, they had ascended. Commander, an officer whispered, shaking. What do we do? If we fight, we die. If we leave, we live with shame. Serac's jaw tightened. His pride battled his fear. But in the sky, more human warships rose from the oceans, each one larger than the last, each one glowing like the wrath of gods. And he knew the truth. This was no war they could win. This was judgment. The human voice echoed again, sharper now, final. You have one choice, Xyrith. Leave this world, carry the warning to your kind, or stay and end here. The silence that followed was unbearable. The Xyrith soldiers looked to their commander, their eyes wide, desperate for his decision. Serac closed his eyes. For the first time in his life, he felt small, powerless. Like an insect staring up at a storm, he whispered, Signal the fleet. We retreat, the soldiers gasped in relief. Some cried out in shame, but none argued. They all knew what would happen if they stayed. Above, the Xyrith warships slowly turned, their engines burning as they pulled away from Earth. But not without fear, for behind them the human armada remained, watching, waiting. On the ground, Serac looked back one last time. The glowing humans stood atop the ruins, their eyes following him, silent and cold. The commander shivered. His people had come seeking ruins, but instead they had found the truth. Humanity was not gone. Humanity was waiting. Humanity was prepared, and now, humanity had given its last warning. Regret of the Zyrith. The Zyrith fleet left Earth's orbit in silence. Their warships limped away, their weapons unused, their pride shattered. Behind them, the human armada floated above the planet like sleeping giants, unmoving yet unstoppable. Commander Serac sat alone in his chamber. His claws dug into the steel table. His soldiers whispered around him, broken and afraid. None celebrated survival. For what they had seen on Earth was not survival. It was humiliation. He closed his eyes, but the memories would not leave. The glowing humans rising from their pods, the machines bowing to them, the warships rising from oceans and mountains. It was burned into his mind forever. For 500,000 years, the Zyrith had believed humanity was gone. Their records called Earth a graveyard, a weak world that died in silence. But now Serac knew the truth. Humanity had not died. Humanity had endured. Humanity had prepared. And worse, humanity had judged. Them, on the command deck, his officers argued, their voices sharp with fear. "We cannot return to the council like this." One shouted, "They will laugh at us, they will call us liars." "They will not laugh," another hissed. "When they see the truth, when they hear what waits on Earth, they will tremble like us." Serac stood, his voice cutting through the noise. "Silence," he growled. His eyes were hard. "This is no tale. This is no illusion. What we saw is real, and the galaxy must know." The officers bowed their heads. None dared argue. As the fleet traveled through the void, Serac prepared his report. His words were heavy. Every sentence felt like a blade against his pride. 500,000 years ago, humanity vanished from history. He recorded, his voice cold. "We believed them destroyed, forgotten, weak. We were wrong." He paused, his hands shaking. His next words tasted of fear. "They are not gone. They are waiting. Their machines guard the ruins. Their spirits walk among shadows, and their warships sleep beneath oceans. Humanity has not died. They endure. And if the galaxy dares touch Earth again, it will not survive." When the fleet reached the Council's world, the chamber filled with rulers of every species. Their eyes burned with curiosity. For centuries, they had mocked the humans, calling them reckless deathworlders who vanished without meaning. Now they leaned forward, eager to hear. Serac stepped into the center, his armor scarred, his eyes hollow. He spoke with a voice stripped of pride. "We went to Earth," he said. His words echoed through the chamber. "And we regret it." The council erupted with whispers, voices rising in disbelief. "Regret? From the Zyrith? Impossible." Serac slammed his claws into the table. His voice thundered, "Silence! You do not understand. None of you understand. Earth is not dead. Humanity is not gone. They are there, waiting, stronger than ever." The hall froze. The rulers stared. Some laughed nervously. Others leaned back in fear. "Explain yourself," one counselor demanded. Serac's voice broke into a growl. "We saw them with our own eyes. Humans rising from their sleep, machines that fight like living soldiers, warships that block out the stars. They gave us one warning, and I bring it to you now. Stay away from Earth or be destroyed." The chamber went silent. No one laughed this time. The weight of his words pressed down like a storm. Finally, one counselor whispered, "So the legends were true." Another shivered. "If they awaken fully, no empire will stand against them." Fear spread like fire through the chamber. The rulers looked at each other, their power suddenly fragile. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy remembered why it had once feared the humans. Serac lowered his head. His pride was gone, his voice quiet, heavy with shame. "We thought ourselves conquerors," he said. "But in their eyes we were nothing. And I tell you now, if we ever return, none of us will." His words fell like stone into water, rippling through every heart in the chamber. The council fell silent, and in that silence, one truth rose above all others. Humanity had been forgotten, but not lost. Humanity had been mocked, but not broken. Humanity had been silent but never gone, and now the galaxy trembled at their name once again.